For this practice, you're going to need a mini stability ball. You can get them in 7 inches or 9 inches. I generally suggest a 7 inch. It's a little smaller than this one, just because it's a little easier for some of the other work that we do. And we're going to be using this today to work on finding that deeper stability in the body. So we're just going to start lying on your back in constructive rest position. Just making sure that you find your neutral spine. So thinking about those two frontal hip bones and the pubic bone, all 3 points being at the same level. So you could hold your imaginary cup of tea or drink on your pelvis. There should be a little gap underneath the low back, and the shoulders and the upper back are nice and relaxed. And we'll just place the ball in between the knees. Give it a little squeeze and then release. And as you give it a little squeeze on the ball, just feel how it results in a little tightening of this area between these 3 points in the low belly. Allow the squeezing to naturally wake up the pelvic floor. That deep abdominal muscle that helps prevent us from going to the bathroom and provides some core stability. And it overlaps with this inner thigh muscle fibres and creates a bit of stability. So just starting out using the ball to help us draw in and find these deep stabilising muscles in the belly. Everything else should be nice and relaxed. There's no effort in the hips or the shoulders. And then we're going to take the ball and place it underneath one foot. We're just going to do some gentle bridges. So making sure both feet are nice and level. You want the arch of your foot to be over the apex of the ball. And we want to have both knees pointing towards the ceiling. Inhale for nothing, and then as you exhale, roll through the spine, and one vertebra at a time, peel the spine up to your bridge position, and just notice how much that foot might want to wobble or not. Inhale top, and then exhale, rolling back down. You're going to really notice a lot of work in your hamstring as you're doing this. So just be mindful if you're someone who gets quite crampy hamstrings to really squeeze into the smile of the buttock to really pull the work up into the glutes so that the hamstring doesn't dominate quite as much. It is a lot of work on the hamstrings though as well. Another alternative, if you find rolling through the spine is a lot of work on the hamstring, is to just press and keep the spine in neutral so that you really just go targeting straight into glute max rather than the hamstrings. We're trying to keep those 3 frontal hip bones level, and we're still thinking about that active inner thigh muscle for the pelvic floor to activate. You're going to notice any of those funny muscles around the ankle or the knee that might feel unstable as you're doing this. So it's really working all of those lower muscles in the limb. After we've done 5, you're going to lift up the hip and then try and keep the legs and the hips, nice and stable. And then as you roll the leg away, try and keeping the hips level and then rolling the ball back in. You can do 5 of these, rolling the ball in and out, trying to track the knee so it's staying straight and that the ball isn't rolling around too much. So we're really getting some nice control and proprioceptive awareness into the ankle and the knee. The ribs are nice and connected. This is a Pilates shoulder bridge. So we've got a neutral spine. And after you've done 5 rolling in and out, you bring the ball back up and release the hips back down. We'll change sides, doing the same exercise on the other leg. So making sure those feet are a little bit further away. It's not a yoga shoulder bridge, so we do want a bit of distance between the foot and the buttocks so that we can allow the glutes to give us a little bit more support without the hamstrings getting too tight. And remember, different leg, you might have some different issues on one side of your body to another, so you might find the stability is a little different. You really want to get that inner thigh pelvic floor engagement and press down into the heel and the arch of the foot and the big toe joint. So we're keeping this inner line, this core support, nice and active from the big toe all the way through up, through the crown of the head, to keep a nice neutral position as you're coming up and down. It will really help with controlling any wobbling from the core and also keeping the hips nice and level. And if you do find that you've got ankle issues, remember you can make this lighter and you don't need to go so high. You can keep the hips lower, so you could just hover them an inch off the ground if that was better for you, until you build up the strength and stability to be able to lift the hips up to a full bridge position. At 5, you then start adding in the rolling out, and it's best if you can try and flex the ankle and then roll it back up, because this is just going to work the ankle and its ability to deal with proprioception on the ball a little bit better. Stabilising those muscles that are around the knee as well. Really working through the muscles in the front of the leg as well as the back. So it's a really nice all-rounded exercise. It really engages 360 of the body. And then we release back down. Okay, we're then going to move on to the pelvis. So you're going to just gently come back to your bridge position, lifting it high enough to place the ball underneath the sacrum. So that's the triangular part on the back of the pelvis. Wants to feel nice and level. You want to feel like the hips feel nice and supported and easy. And just start with a gentle rolling on the ball, just feeling the stability underneath you. I always like to go side to side. Not a movement we do that often in daily life. And then we'll just do a couple of kind of imprint and release, squeezing the abs on the front to lengthen the tail. This is just helping to flex the low back, often an area that people complain feels quite tight, so this is just a lovely way of lengthening and doing so from core support in the front. With a little bit of that toning in the front and that pelvic floor activation, then lift up one leg into tabletop and then bring the other leg up to tabletop. Okay, keeping nice and balanced on the ball, you're just going to try and do little toe taps away from you. And this is mostly thinking about the thigh moving away from the body and then coming back in. And as you just do these movements, notice how much you're wibbling and wobbling on the ball. Can you stay nice and still with the pelvis? So this helps us understand how much we're really controlling into the pelvic floor and transverse abdominis and the obliques. So how much is there real core engagement as you're doing this? If you're sauntering around quite a lot, you're possibly not engaging your core as much as you need to. If it's feeling quite easy, you lift one arm and then the other up towards the ceiling, decreasing the amount of stability on the floor. Again, if it's starting to feel like you want added challenge, you can start to take opposite arm away from the leg. And as with all Pilates, you can exhale on the extension if it feels like that's an easier support. Or you can inhale to challenge yourself. Keep on thinking about coring, drawing that core in towards the center line. And then last but not least, to make it even harder, you can extend the legs up towards the sky and you can start to scissor. And the faster you go, the more challenging this is going to be with that core stability, that proprioceptive awareness. Making sure that you're not wobbling and rolling around and falling off on the ball as you go. And then when you're finished with control, releasing one foot, the other foot, lifting the hips to the bridge, remove the ball and just allow the pelvis a moment to enjoy that feeling of space on the floor. Okay, we're then going to take the ball over and come onto our side, placing the ball underneath the hip. You're going to come up onto your elbows. This is quite intense. If you've got neck and shoulder issues, you can always lie down on the floor rather than have to work this underside of the body, but it is going to work this underneath side of the body. And option one would be to have the bottom leg bent with the knee forward to help you balance, or you can straighten that leg. And then we're going to just lift and lower the top leg. And this is just starting to add a little bit of challenge to keeping the pelvis nice and square and not rotate. You can flex the foot if you want, or you can point it, whichever one feels more natural for you. And then do the opposite. And then we'll take some leg circles, so just challenging that stability a little bit more on the ball. And reversing the circles. Next we add in the kick, so keeping the leg at hip height, take the leg forward and back. Leg is forward and back. And remember, this is all about feeling these muscles underneath and above, becoming aware of the pelvis and its desire maybe to rotate and move with the leg. Can you keep it still and get the feedback from the ball to help you get a bit more challenge to stabilize? And then you can roll off the ball and just take a gentle stretch up and over. Releasing any tension from that side leg work. Use your hands, push yourselves up to seated, staying on this side. Coming to a mermaid position. If this isn't comfortable with that 90 degrees at the front and then down to the side, maybe you can cross your legs, you can sit on a block or on some cushions. Take the ball out to your side. Now this is a mermaid with the ball. So your hand's going to gently rest on the ball. Bring your ball in line with your front knee. So it's not back, it's forwards. Relax the shoulder back and down, like you're slightly squeezing in the back of the armpit. Inhale, lift up other hand. And as you exhale, reaching up and over. And coming back in. A little bit of weight on the ball is absolutely fine because you're going to feel that shoulder working. Activating all these muscles underneath the armpits, serratus anterior and lats in particular, which can really help us bring our shoulders away from our ears. And then for added challenge, you can stay out to the side and just add in some bend and stretch. With that arm helping stabilize a little further into the shoulder. And then we come back up to seated. We're then going to scooch around and do the same thing on the other side. So lying down with the hip on the ball and either coming onto the elbow or lying with the head down on your side. Stacking those hips on the ball is really important and lifting the underneath waist. Again, flex the foot if you normally would point it and just start with the lifting and the lowering. Remember that bottom knee can be bent if you need a bit more balance and stability, or you can straighten the bottom leg if it feels like you want the challenge. Connect the ribs, drawing that waist up and in, and keep the toes pointed forwards, so the same direction as your nose, so that you're really getting into the side of the hip. So you might not find the hip go so high. Next one, we'll stay at the top, we'll add in those little circles, just 5 one way, 5 the other. You can always increase it over time. Noticing if there's a difference in challenge, reversing those circles. On this side,
Keeping this lovely connection, working the shoulder girdle. And then at the top of the circle, keep the leg nice and high. And just add in some kicks, taking the leg forwards and back. And you can either keep the foot flexed, or if you're used to some choreography, it goes flexed and then pointed back. Try not to allow the body to swing as you do this. This is all about proprioception, keeping everything nice and still, discovering those little muscles around the pelvis, around the shoulder to help stabilize. Can you get the core to connect to make you stronger? We'll do one more. And then you scooch down off the ball, let it come onto your waist, and just take a gentle side bend, stretching out that top waist. And then we'll push ourselves up to that seated position, taking either your mermaid stance or another alternative that's comfortable for you to find both sit bones nice and even. Ball comes out level with the front knee. Elbow and shoulder drop down the back a little bit. Hand can rest on the ball nice and light. Inhale, lifting up the other arm, and as you exhale, gently press on that ball. Trying to keep those sit bones nice and even. We're using this pressure just to help stabilize, find little muscles in the shoulder girdle to build a bit more proprioceptive awareness of some strengthening into the back and under armpit area. Often somewhere we tend to lose a bit of that awareness. Feeling lots of energy. If you're feeling nice and strong today, staying out and adding in this little roll in and out, keeping the shoulder down and away from the ear. Really thinking about that hugging under the armpit like you're holding a newspaper in place. And then we'll come back up and through. So we're going to do some 4-point swimming. This is a lovely variation to find that core support. So you're going to place the ball underneath your knee. The other leg is going to be free. You can tuck the toes under to help you with your balance. Really make sure you spread your fingers and find a neutral spine. And then just come and balance nice and centered on the ball. We're going to be lifting up the back leg, straightening in that knee, and then you're just going to lift and lower the straight leg. Balancing on that knee on the ball, and if you can, you lift the toes. And you're really going to find you have to have good, stable neutral to do this. And it's going to test those hips wanting to open and lift the sky. So you're really going to then find you're targeting the obliques and the glute max. That shoulder girdle and neck positioning is nice and strong. So we're really increasing our connection of how we have core support from the floor in a 4-point position, not something we often do. Once you've done about 10, you can tuck those toes under, and we'll do the other side. So take your time with the setup, making sure that your knee is 90 degrees underneath your hip, tuck the back toes under, and use that to help you with your support until you feel like you've got that stability to lift the toes. And then we're just lifting and lowering that back leg from your buttocks. The knee is pulled up throughout, and you can flex the ankle, tucking the toes so they tap up and down as you lift. It's not about height, it's about that lovely balance, being aware of the connection from your hands and your knee into your core by destabilizing in your core slightly. And then we'll release from those. Take a little break, sit back, just releasing the wrists. And then to finish, we'll just do a little back bending exercise. So come to lie in your front. You take the ball out in front, placing your hands on top of the ball. Okay, find your neutral pelvis, so those 3 points should touch onto the floor. You want to feel like your navel is lifting away from the floor, so there's something poking you and your ribs are connected. Press down through the top of your feet and pull up in your kneecaps. And then just roll the ball on the floor from your shoulder blades. We're trying to feel the shoulder blades gliding up and down the back of the rib cage. And if that's enough for you, then this is where you stay. If it feels like your shoulder blades are moving quite nice and smoothly, you can start to add in a little lift of the chest, as though the shoulder blades V in behind your heart and lift and draw your breastbone forwards to look at the ball. So your hands draw down your arms into the center of your back, and that pushes through and lifts the heart up for the breastbone to shoot at your ball. And in yoga, this is called a heart loop. And it's a really beautiful loop system to lift and open the heart, but with strength and support, with awareness that you're connecting and drawing the muscles in, taking care of yourself, but being giving and loving at the same time. Keep the feet nice and pressing down into the floor, the knees are active, belly pulling in away from the floor. You've really got a nice core foundation. And only go as high as is comfortable for you. And for an added challenge, you can stay up and just add in the arm movement. So you're really working that shoulder stability in your back bend to really deepen the thoracic extension. So we're really just looking at the shoulder blades drawing in and lifting up behind the heart and keeping the low back on the floor, not doing the curving. This is a lovely shoulder mobilizer as well as heart opener. And when you're finished, push your bottom back onto your heels. And you can use the ball if you like on your thighs. And just round over and release. Thank you for joining me. Let me know any questions or comments.